The music is actually coming through to the other side.
I know, that's what makes me hesitant now.
Oh my gosh.
The harder we dance, the more people will watch.
There's so much movement you can do in a chair, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah. Hello. Welcome.
Hello, Ottawa.
Hello, Ottawa. I love doing that.
Yeah, so everybody, welcome back to the Realty Podcast. We're now part 3 with Anna. Everybody that's considered entrepreneurship, which I think is probably everybody, like at least once in their life, like I could be my own boss.
Yeah.
This is the one for you guys. Like you have to listen. I think that this is going to resonate with so many people because believe it or not, Anna is just like all of you, right? And we're going to hear about her story, her journey. How did she get it all the way here? She's a master marketer, real estate entrepreneur, CEO, broker owner, coach, mom.
I think we should have started with that. Mom, and then all the other titles.
And then everything else.
Absolutely.
Yes. So she's a powerhouse in the industry. And you might just hear the piece of advice that you need to hear in this very moment. So stick around. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. And
love it.
Shall we get started?
Let's do it. Let's get to the meat and potato.
Okay. So, what is a business decision that you regretted?
Well, the business decision that I regretted throughout has got to be, well, when I, at times when I brought in people that I had a vision for them that was way bigger than what they thought was possible. And unfortunately, because they couldn't see it, they had such a smaller vision for themselves. And even sometimes misidentifying that we had the same, that we would actually be able to work together, we were in alignment. I think those are the things that I would say
that's your biggest thing because it's taken you like probably a lot longer than you thought to build the team that you were hoping to have and support you. And I think that we've all fallen victim to like projecting our hopes, our dreams, our vision onto other people, whether that be like, of course, we're talking right now in a business setting, but how many times have we had a relationship or a friendship that we've projected onto somebody else, things that we hope, like attributes that we hope they would have, but we're just like falling in love with the potential.
Yeah, I think, you can see that from my reaction is not, it definitely brings back like sad moments in this whole journey. It's, as I said in the previous segment, I am also growing throughout this process. I'm getting to know me as well as like what should this whole thing be? What is the real vision? I think the most important thing is having the right vision. And sometimes I felt like I had a good vision, but I had to go back and modify it based on what I've learned, whether it's through experience or something that I read, So, I would say that those were the challenges. And I think that as time goes on, hopefully I'm getting better with it, you know.
You're like, okay, good, hopefully.
Yeah, these are all very like serious questions. I'm trying to smile, but anyways, yeah.
Well, it's just a real deal. Like, so many people talk about like how great entrepreneurship is, like be your own boss, like why work for anybody. But it's like when you're working for somebody, like a lot of times you don't have to learn these lessons like at all.
Yes.
And if these kind of painful things are going on, you're like, well, it's not my job. Like somebody else up there is making the big decisions, and you're just like one tool, and all you have to think about is mastering your own job. But when you're the one that is running the whole ship, like you have to be so well acquainted with every part of your business.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, that's one of the things I learned earlier on, that, you know, whatever your business is, you got to learn it from ground up. You need to know everything about it. You can't just be like, you know, good at one piece. If somebody decides to not show up tomorrow, you need to be able to sit in that seat and fill that seat, fill that whatever that position is, until you're able to find somebody else. And you can't teach other people do things that you don't know how to do yourself. So it's very, very important to have those skills, or you know, when it comes to certain skills that you don't necessarily have to have, like they're technical. Like, what do I mean by that? Let's say video editing or what have you. You need to have a vision as to how or what your expectations are for that, you know. So with marketing, same thing. You know, you need to direct everybody. Sure, maybe you're not the best designer, or like you don't have the technical abilities of doing things and working with different softwares, but you need to know what is it that you want from this.
Yes. So it's like you have to be able to teach yourself or find somebody that you could learn from, so you could maybe not exactly specialize, because it's kind of sounding more like we have specialists.
Yeah.
But in that way, you're also like a generalist, so you have to be able to do all of it.
Exactly.
And like you said, you've gone through so many things that you had to learn from. So is there any lesson that you had to learn more than once?
Well, the lessons that I had to learn more than once are, I would say, just to keep pushing, believe in yourself, believe in that you can do things. And when it comes to like entrepreneurship, I'm just trying to think from the perspective of entrepreneurship. I would say you have got to, like, we talk about this all the time, you know, you have to really, really believe that you can I'm like losing my
your train of thought. You have to believe that you can do it.
Yeah. You have to believe that you can do it. You have to push through it no matter what. And I would say, like, just keep pushing. Like, painful lessons is like, believe in yourself first and foremost. There have been times where I relied on other people, thinking that they're going to get me or rescue me, and, you know, trusting in certain things, certain situations that I absolutely didn't know what the outcome was. I would say, like, success leaves clues. Follow the people that have done it before, and not just like do things that just because people say it works doesn't necessarily means it's gonna work.
Yeah,
that's what I would say. There's a lot of people that will promise you all kinds of things. You know, there's a lot of mentors out there and coaches out there that haven't successfully done what you want to achieve. And there's a lot of them, like with like social media, there's even more and more noise out there. And so you got to do your own background check, if you will, on these people to make sure that, yes, what they say is for real. You know, that's what I would say. And I have in my in business in general, I have trusted certain people to do things, but you know, when I trusted too much and I expected in my own, like assumed, that's when I got into trouble. Like, never assume. See it in black and white. Is this really, you know, see a proof. Try to always be critical of that, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that there's like kind of like a delicate dance between being so critical and not like jumping in and like believing everything works to the other side, which is like, I know for myself, I've experienced this, like jumping into your business.
Yeah.
I was like questioning, like, does this really work? Like, are there all these people that want to hear from me? Like, is this system, you know, because I had to change a lot of things about the way I was operating. Yeah. I'd say everything, the way I talked, the way I looked at people, the way I booked appointments, the way everything.
Like the whole thing, right? Like the way we do things is very different. And like, unless you're in it, you can't even imagine it. So it's that much harder for me to communicate to people that this thing actually does work and it works this way, because the very first thing they want to say is like, no, like I've never seen it done this way. But then at the same time, like, how could Anna be where she is if it didn't work, right?
Yeah.
So what I had to do in the past, like with people like yourself, is like actually show them proof of our database. Even with our buyers and sellers, right? We have to show that, because it's like, you can't just say, yeah, this works, and you know, and you gotta believe me, you know. You gotta see proof. So yes, there is, you gotta show. So I always say to people, you know, how many times we meet with like sellers and they say, oh, my cousin has said that that house sold for X amount of dollars, and so mine should be worth this much or whatever, right? Yeah. So I always say, okay, so like, what's the address? Let's pull it up. You know, seeing is believing. Instead of just hearing it through the grapevines that maybe this happened, or like maybe this agent did that, or you know, I don't assume. I show proof, and that's what I did with you. If you remember, I showed it to you, and you're like, okay, that makes sense. And then right after you came on board, you were like out in showings with me. Remember?
Yes.
And you were in appointments with me, and you were writing offers, and it was just like, you know, and you like, once you are there and you're seeing all of this, you're like, yeah, so I mean, I guess this is for real, because I haven't seen it like this before, right?
Yeah. There is like often, I think in people's mind, well, at least in my mind, when I was looking at like coaching programs and people that were doing it, for some reason I was thinking like, oh, it works in that marketplace, or it works over there, but it won't work for me. Like, I don't know why. So taking like the leap into the business, it really opened my eyes, where it's like, wow, there's some people that know a little bit more.
Yeah.
That can help you out. And to get somewhere that you've never been, you have to do things you've never done. And that's like really what I learned about being here. And I find like you're so open-minded to try things, and that's really what makes you like cutting edge. Like you're always like not reacting, you're anticipating.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So like, what's the biggest lie about entrepreneurship that you feel that people believe?
There's a lot out there. Like, I mean, a lot of which maybe like the viewers have heard. You know, you make your own time. You build your own schedule. You know, you make a ton of money. You can do it really cheap. You can do it on your own. You know, And it's like, that's just extra. So you can have your work and then you can have this as a side gig. So these are all the different things. And, you know, realistically, if those things were not out there, we probably a lot of us would not have jumped into entrepreneurship because we would have known the realities behind it. As you know, like my journey is a little bit different than that because I was working in a family business, and part of the reason why I did this was to kind of have my own independence and to show that I could do it. Like I had that chip on my shoulder that I'm like, yeah, I could do it. I'm willing to work hard and do it. So I did know that there was hard work involved, but for a lot of people, they just think like, oh, you know what, you just maybe open up a YouTube channel and that's it, that's all. And maybe for some people that works. I was watching something like somebody was just like selling potatoes or something with like a nice message on it, and it was like they were selling it for a lot, or like, you know, people selling different things. And you know, like, I mean, who am I to say anything? That is a form of entrepreneurship. But if we look at the other types of entrepreneurship where you're building an entity, an organization, if that's your mindset, then it does require a lot of hard work. It's you. It starts with you. It ends with you. You're the captain of the ship. You know, being the captain of the ship means that all the responsibilities falls on you. If it doesn't get to be delivered by somebody else in the team, it's gonna fall in your plate, and you are the last person, and you got to make sure that it's done right. We, like, as an entrepreneurship, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, you have to understand that, you know, a lot of the times you have to give credit to the people that are working with you, because otherwise, what's the point of them wanting to work with you, right? Mm-hmm. So you do have to give credit where it's given, but like you take all the criticism yourself. And that, I think, is where, at least in where I experience with like other teams and, you know, earlier on in real estate or other places, you know, organizations, the person in charge was not owning that. You know, it's easy to tell like, oh, it's your fault or that person's fault or what have you. But realistically, if you started this whole thing, you gotta be the first to like be in front of that sword, you know, in front of that dagger. You have to be the one to take it for the team. And that's really what it is. So
yeah, you've definitely been an example of, I would say, like, radical accountability. Mm-hmm. Like, and also, you know, you're a good leader in the way that people can be accountable the other way. Like, I'm not too scared to say that I've made a mistake. I don't think anybody else on the team is. And you're always like, you know, you could say you made a mistake. Like, it's fine. It's just like not fine. I think if we keep on.
For me, as you know, like I used to say it, I should say it more often. It's like, you know, mistakes are inevitable. We're all gonna make them. That's what's gonna make you better. But like to repeat the same mistake is not okay. It's sinful. Like, learn your lesson. Learn your damn lesson.
Yeah.
Move on.
It's like the first time it's a mistake, the second time it's a choice.
That's, right? Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So going back to like your past or this business, I think it's easy for people to say like, it feels so good at the top. Like maybe your head is growing too big, right? But I think that you're still so humble.
Yeah.
And that if it was required, like you would jump in, you would be the custodian. Like it doesn't really matter to you. You just want to get the job done.
Yep.
So what's an experience that really deeply humbled you?
Yeah. You gotta be. Do you remember one time we went to a restaurant together, and then I was like, I swear this person is the owner of this restaurant, and then after we end up talking to her, and she was in fact the owner of the restaurant. I don't want to say what happened after,
Yeah.
but so it's just the care. I could see the care and the attention and like the customer service. I could resonate so much with that. But yeah, to answer your question about what was the experience that humbled me, I remember at the age of 17, I was working, right before I started working for Rogers Cable, I was working at this work that I loved. I thought it was like the most prestigious work as an immigrant, So I got a job at the movie theater, and at that point it was called Famous Players. It's no longer there, but it was like the Silver City. So anyways, I got a job there. I was so excited. I was like, oh, finally I could be like every other normal student, working with all these different students for this big organization. And I remember my first day at work after training, they put me in charge because I was like on the floor team. I wasn't like part of the, the concession bar or like the ticket master or whatever. And so they put me under bathroom duties. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, like this is something that I would have, like, it's my nightmare, and the reason behind that is because, my mom, bless her soul, she always was like, she never made us clean at all. The house was always like pristine. Like I never knew dust existed. That's how much, like, while she was alive, like I didn't know of this thing called dust. That's how crazy it was. And I remember like with her, she would clean everything, like the bathroom. So I never had to touch that. I was so disgusted. Like I remember we'd go to like a hotel or whatever, great hotel, but like we'd be like, Mom, can you please disinfect it? Like we were all like that. So I hated bathrooms. Bathrooms are the worst place. Like for me, if you were to like, if you wanted to do something really bad to me, it was like put me in a bathroom and tell me like, you have got to, like, a disgusting bathroom, never mind a public bathroom. So now I was in charge of cleaning this bathroom with like not just one stall, but like many. It was like maybe 14 in there or something like that. It is Silver City after all. So I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I have to be in charge. So I remember making a call to my dad. I was so nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, Dad, I'm in charge of the bathroom. I was like, I don't know. I can't do this. I can't do this. And he said, you know what? Just do it. Just pretend like you're learning for your future. Like you got to learn this now, because if you don't know how to clean a bathroom, how are you going to be able to do that when you've got your own family and you've got your own household and this? And he had to like open my mind on the phone for like I know it sounds ridiculous, and like let me tell you, I've always said it. I was born with a silver spoon, but then it was switched to a paper spoon. But the bathroom part was where like it was always silver spoon up until that moment. I had to clean the bathroom, and you know what? I did it, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I got the mop. I was like, just like trying to hold myself, no gag reflex, no nothing. Just like would look up when I'm like flushing the toilet to not see what's in there, and that I'm like flushing down. Yeah, that really, really humbled me, I think.
That's so
after that, I felt like I could conquer anything and everything. Yeah.
It really adds some context, because I remember just, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, you were like, oh my gosh, we need to get the bathrooms like all ship-shaped up in here. Like you go somewhere, it's not a clean bathroom. Like it really says something about the establishment.
Oh yes.
You were saying that, and I was like, you know what? It's true. Like you could have a great experience and you can go to the bathroom and it's like yuck, and then all of a sudden you're like, I realize how this place is run.
Yeah.
So you were a critical building block to this movie theater experience.
Yeah.
And some people left going, wow, they really take pride.
Yeah.
I was the bathroom.
I was so good that, like, you know, the counters, I would make sure that it's all like dry and like, you know, but yeah, bathrooms. And, you know, now, as you know, as realtors, like, we do a lot of different things for our clients, you know. And earlier on, you know, before I knew that there are cleaners out there, that are people that can help us with those different things. But even now, like, I mean, I don't think myself to be like high and almighty that I'm not going to touch anything. Like, we do things, we do move things if necessary, because we're here to get the job done, you know. And yes, who's in charge of bathroom cleaning at my household? Me. Still not my favorite, but I get it done. I think I do it the best. That's why I do it. But yourself, did you have an experience like that? Like,
I did.
Recently at somebody's home, I remember.
Yes, I did.
Did you pick up something?
So in real estate, it is like a little bit blurry where our job, like, criteria ends.
Responsibilities, yeah.
Yeah. And like, I'm the same way. I'm like, I see something that needs to get done, like, I'm probably just gonna jump in and do it myself, because the faster you do it, like, the faster it's done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, if you start doing it now, then it's gonna be done very soon. So we were going and seeing a listing that it was our listing that happened to be tenanted. And sometimes, you know, tenants live there, and there's no laws about how tenants could live, okay?
Yeah.
And I guess they had a dog. And when we were there,
it better be a dog.
I hope it was a dog. My mind will not allow me to pick anything else.
No, but there were dogs. If you remember, they were in like the cage or whatever during the visit.
Okay, yeah. Yes, but I hope this product was associated with this dog. Anyways, there was a piece of poop there on the ground during our visit. And I just, like, I cannot, like, get it, like, in my ego. Like, I just can't leave and have anybody know that I left this listing in this condition. So, yeah, I stepped up, I picked up the poop, found some toilet paper, flushed it, and I don't know if this is TMI or not. Like, it was very dry. And, like, I knew, based on my own experience, that this has been there a long time. So, yeah, I'm not too good. And after I did it, I think you're like, oh. And, like, I don't know why, like, after I did it, I was like, there was no hesitation in my body. Like, I did not hesitate. And sometimes I should think about it. I was, like, kind of after, like, I don't know if this dog is sick. Like, I don't... and I think I had to wash my hands, too, and there's, like, no towel. I'm like...
Oh yes, because of that particular listing, I remember I needed to do something too, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to, like, wash my hands, and there was no, like, paper towel or anything, and I remember that specifically, but that's so funny, and the way you describe it, like, how did you even know it was, like, it was dry, like
through my fingertips, I knew, like, through and, like, thank God it was, to be honest, like, because there's just a thin, like, toilet paper between me and the product, because usually you use, like, a plastic bag, right?
Oh my gosh, that was funny.
I've had, like, if you ask me about my humbling experiences, which we're not going to get into, like, I've had many.
In real estate?
Like, people have hung up on me mid-Zoom call. like I see their finger, like it's like this, like their fingers coming towards the camera, like, oh, sorry, we're losing service.
That's funny.
Yeah, so
can't hear you. Can't hear you.
or like the amount of like emergencies that come up before somebody meets with me. Oh, sorry, there's like an emergency.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh my gosh.
I've never experienced more family emergencies.
Having to go back home, wherever that is.
Yeah, back home. Oh, sorry. I'm like, all the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot for sure, but I love that. That's like my favorite. That's my favorite.
The poop story?
the way you have described it through this this podcast is kind of funny.
I mean, yeah, I will think about more of my experiences and get back to you guys. This is just
I think we can do a whole episode on this and like things that we've done that are not really real estate related. That would be a good one to talk about.
Yeah.
In case people are wanting to get into real estate and sell Sunset.
I don't know if I should tell this story. It's just in my mind about like...
Just say it. I mean...
Okay, so sometimes we drive people around.
Now I know where you're going with that.
So sometimes we drive people around, and I'm not going to say any names. Like, I don't want to like shame anybody. It's my very good clients. But anyways, there's a kid in the back seat, and I'm in the front seat. I'm really kind of hesitant to drive with people anyways, because it's like...
Especially if they have kids. I find I am more hesitant when they have kids. I'm okay with adults, you know, done it many times. But I've also had my own experiences with a bunch of kids. Not one, with a bunch of kids in the car and the mom. So anyways.
I was actually, like, I was going to say I'm hesitant based on insurance purposes, but, like, maybe me admitting here today that I need to up my insurance. Okay, hopefully they don't look. So, yeah, we were driving. I guess the kid, like, we were kind of in a rush, so I guess they, like, just ate lunch. It's, like, a little bit of a hurry, and this is the first time out, by the way. Like, first time meeting them in person, first time out, everything, and yeah, the kid just exploded all over the car, all over the back of the car. It was like, and it's
Yikes.
like, it was a very interesting meal, too. It was like spaghetti. Didn't look like it was chewed at all.
No!
But
like strings of it?
Strings of it.
Wow.
And like true. And by the way, like my come up journey, like everything has a lot to do with my car. Like when I got my car, I felt like I made it. And then now
we need to talk about your car. Your car and how we met. But anyways,
so anyways, I had that. And so then like we are parked in front of a beautiful listing. At that time in my career, probably one of the nicest homes I've ever shown.
Okay.
With a backseat full of spaghetti. And
it's not like fresh spaghetti, right?
No, throw up spaghetti.
Okay.
And now it's like, how do we get rid of this?
Oh my gosh.
And so
what did you do?
Went into the listing, got some toilet paper, and then went across the street to the school to find this garbage can. We are like picking this up with hands.
Did you do it?
Of course, I did it.
Wow.
What is there to do?
I mean, that's another thing I like. Throw up. It's very hard for me. I think that's another reason why I couldn't go through with medical school, because you're gonna deal with these things like throw up. I remember even like my kids. Wow, that honestly, I have to say, good job. Wow.
I hope this clip doesn't go viral, because like I love them. I'm sharing this story. Nobody will know who you are. It's just a story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it could be many spaghettis.
Yeah.
Kids, we don't know who.
Beware if you're going on showings.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got my car detailed after that.
Funny. So that was good reason for you to do that, to detail your car.
Yeah, and it's funny because when we're doing these kinds of things, like we also have to, the customer service element, it's like, yeah, no problem. Like, do not worry about it. Like, you have to be so nice during it.
Yeah.
But I was feeling bad because it's like, oh, this kid must not feel good, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
maybe your way of driving has caused this kind of...
Yeah, it was... Radical accountability is actually my fault. If you ask my family, they would say that. Okay, so, sometimes the going gets hard, and then the real people stand up and they get going. You know what I mean? So how do you know when you're coming up on a challenge and it's so hard, you feel like you're hitting the wall over and over again? When do you know to, like, pivot or just give up?
I think, like, over the past few years, the time that I could think about, like, pivoting has got to do with the many challenges we've had, so, like, not a lot of people talk about it these days, but, like, COVID, literally I was talking to somebody yesterday, and, like, we just moved into a huge office in the midst of COVID shutdown. And, here we we're like excited, but at the same time, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? People aren't going to come visit us. So, like, what was the point of getting this big office,
Yeah.
You remember that specifically. But then also, then other things change, right? Like, the whole purpose behind having that office was to have people come visit us, right? Because we were doing in-person meetings. And so it's like, okay, so do we just, like, shut it down? Do we just go and do something else?
Mm-hmm.
But, we decided, no, you know what? We're going to do it differently. So we started doing those meetings through Zoom, and we started doing them, showings through our phones and things like that. I think that whenever there are challenges like that, you just have to see, what can you do? Is there anything that can be done? I always look at, like, a challenge in a way where I'm like, this is an opportunity. There has got to be a way to do it. So having that, like, mindset of, like, how can we solve this problem is what I have trained myself over the years, and I've trained everybody in the team to be looking at it that way as well. Like, whoever comes in the team, like you mentioned, like, I've got a very open mind, with things, how things can be done. But I always say to people, it's good that you have discovered or, like, have found a problem that we have, but also try to come up with a solution. Try to come up with, like, how can we get this better? So I think that for me, whenever I see people aren't willing to do something, like other people in the same industry, I think that creates an opportunity for us to try to figure a way quicker, faster for everybody else. Like, not just for ourselves, because once we do it, everybody else starts to, like, follow, which you've seen many times, right? So, but yeah, so for me, I think giving up is the last resort. Like, if there's what my mom used to say, if there's a will, there's a way. And I think that you can overcome many things, many challenges. I've had bigger challenges than, like, what the work environment brings in. So for me, like, I don't give up.
Yeah, you're committed to the vision, like, no matter what.
You gotta have that vision. You gotta have that why. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think in the challenging moments, like, it is, like, so important to have a why?
Very. That's what gets you out of everything. That's, like, what is your why? Who is your why? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because, like, on the harder days, like, it's so easy to be like, what am I doing this for? Like, why am I putting myself through this? Without a deep why. Yeah, I think that you will want to pivot and you'll get into, like, those dark moments, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So, have you ever followed a piece of advice that kind of brought you in the wrong direction?
Absolutely. I mean, like, you know, many people, as I mentioned earlier, they mask what it is that they do know, you know, or they pretend to be helping you while they've got a secondary motive with what it is that they want you to do or why they want you to do. I've gotten into wrong partnerships in business. You know, I've got into wrong teams. I've got into wrong locations.
Yeah.
You know, so I can say, and the list goes on, you know, but through it all, I think that what you learn out of that is that always trust your gut, you know. So I don't know if I answered that question.
Yeah, it sounds like you followed a lot of advice that didn't turn out to be correct.
Yeah.
And I know in real estate, it's really like everybody thinks they have the solution. Everybody's going to give you some advice, whether they're in our business or not.
Yeah.
They actually will give us advice. Like, how many solutions have I heard before? It's like, oh, you will get so many clients if you get a truck. Like, you gotta get a truck and, like, brand it and let people use it to move. Oh, that's gonna be the key to your business. Oh, no, actually, you have to throw a pizza party for every client. That's actually gonna be the thing to your business. Or when they move in, you have to go and knock on their door every 3 months so they remember you. Actually, that's how you're gonna get business.
The problem is with all of those that you said is that the wrong people that have absolutely no success are the ones giving advice. Like, it's so easy, and I find like the people that really shouldn't be giving advice, they give you advice because it's cheap to give advice, right? Yet the people that really should be giving advices, they don't go out there and give it for free. You know, you have to pay for it. And that is what I've learned, that you have to, the people that really, like, their words actually are worth something, worth your success, you'll have to pay for it. It's not for free.
Yeah. And I think the cheapest way to get that is, like, these books, right? If any of us would actually sit down and read.
100%. I mean, like, we do a lot of reading. I think I'm, like, really proud of our teams, like, reading. I mean, I know the past couple of months we haven't added a book to read, but we are reading it in a strategic meeting. And, like, some of those books I'm like, you know, we've read twice, in fact. So I think, but the problem is a lot of the times people waste their time on things that they shouldn't, that doesn't really bring them value. I think there's time for everything. There's time for entertainment, there's time for educating yourself, and there's time for doing things. And, you know, once you start to, like, divide those, and the only reason you would divide those is when you actually don't have time for important things. You know, that's when you realize, okay, you know what, I gotta really get good with my calendar and with my schedule to get whatever it is that I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah. So what's a moment that you took a leap of faith with no guarantees?
In business. So I would say, you know, for instance, when I joined a coaching program, I was at the lowest low, and there were guarantees, but I never believed in guarantees. I thought that, you know, guarantees at times is not something that you can rely on, you know. But I believed in myself. I believed in hard work. I knew that I would do whatever it takes to get it done. You know what I mean? So, are you hearing like something? That's why you're looking.
I was thinking maybe you could get a little bit closer to the mic.
Yeah. Let me just reposition it. So part of what I did was, I knew that if I told my husband, for instance, that I paid such a big amount for coaching, he would be so upset. But at the same time, I'm like, we can't hide things in a marriage, Yeah. So I had the accountable person I am. I'm like, you know what? I did it, and he thought like I was so crazy. And, but it turned out good because I thought at the end of it all, I am going to work that much harder. It's just going to push me that much harder to do things. I think pain gets you farther in life,
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're like just too comfortable, you're not going to be able to do the things that you want to do. For instance, let's talk about your car. You started seeing such an improvement in like the success you're achieving with your work once you got your new car.
Yeah.
Right? Because now you're responsible for this payment every month, right?
Yeah.
When you got yourself more responsibilities, like you got yourself your dog that you have, right? And so on and so forth. And that's has always been a thing for me as well. Like you have to understand that when I started and I was with your regular brokerages that we have, I was just working with a particular, I didn't even have an office space, much like all the other agents. I didn't have a space that was mine. I literally was using what they called like bullpens,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where it was just a desk with a computer and a phone if you wanted to make calls. And that was there for that moment that you're sitting. But if you get up with your stuff, somebody else can take that spot.
It's like a public library.
Yeah.
Pretty much,
exactly. So that was me, and it was such a big leap of faith for me to take when I decided, you know what, I'm gonna get myself an office space. Which that office space was what? It was literally just a walk-in closet. That's all that it was, and it was like $300 a month. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, it's so expensive.
Can I afford this?
Yeah, how can I afford it? But that pain itself pushed me farther to make it work. Because I'm like, I can't ask my husband to pay for this to fund my business. I got to fund my own business, pull my own weight, and then some, right? So I think that, more responsibilities is good. Putting yourself more uncomfortable is good. And that's always been the way I have gone about things.
Yeah. So in this business, most of the investments you've taken on a leap of faith, you're coaching, getting more space, but it's your home sold guaranteed or Anna buys it in a world full of no guarantees.
Yeah.
I feel like every time we take on a client, we put some time. There's no guarantee that we're going to get any money from it. Every time we take a listing, there's no guarantee that these people are going to still want to sell.
Yeah.
Right? So I think if you're looking for guarantees anywhere in this world, you're not going to find it. Even if you do work 9 to 5, doesn't mean you're going to have this job forever and ever. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if everything you built disappeared overnight, who would you be without your achievements? This is deep.
This is a deep question. I don't at the beginning you're Anna's this. I don't really use that to identify myself. I don't need that to identify me. I mean, it is good. I'm not trying to say oh, it's who cares? I don't care, whatever. It's good. It does make me feel good. It's all of those nice things that you can imagine. But at the same time, that is not my identity. When I'm home, I'm just like any other mom. I'm probably a lot goofier than a lot of moms. I like to play around with my kids because my kids and we have such a short age gap. And, you know, a lot of the times I love that interaction. So at the core of all of this, whether I'm at home with my kids, my partner, my husband, or like if I'm back home with my siblings, I'm just like me. And I'm totally okay with that. And I'm totally at peace with that. I don't need these extra things on the side. These are all like just bonuses. And what I'm doing is just to be able to make that much bigger of an impact to help other people. And like what I say is like I genuinely mean that. It's like this is what I want to do. So yeah. So if I lose them all tomorrow, it's not going to change my like who I am deep inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could do it again.
And yeah. I've done it. As you know, like we just like changed, like we rebranded. And you know, once you do something once, you're absolutely right. Once you do something once, you can do it a lot faster next time because you are not going to make those mistakes. I remember, it's funny because when I joined the coaching program and like, you know, I'd see like these like other agents that have been doing it longer, I would say that, and that's by the way, one of my biggest regrets too. Like I wish I did all of this a lot sooner. You know, I wish that I learned from the mistakes sooner, or, you know, was able to take those whatever risks that I took sooner, met people sooner, did everything sooner. But, you know, we are here. But like what I was saying is that when I would see those other agents like that have been done it earlier than myself, and I look at them and I'd be like, okay, if they could only give me everything they've done and I just like copy it exactly and just give me now the control to it all. And I would think to myself, I could just do it, no problem. You know, I could get the same results. But now, you know, a few years later, to be exact, about 5 years later, or maybe 6 years later, I look at it and I'm like, no, I would not have been able to do that because I didn't understand everything about it. I could not control it all like the way, you know, it needs to be. I didn't build it. So I don't know, I would not have been ready myself. I did not learn the lessons that I needed to learn. So, be okay with you. I would say first and foremost, like be at peace with you, what you're building, have a reason, you know your why you're doing something. And it's okay to fail. Totally okay to fail. I don't see it as a failure. I see it as a growth, you know? So,
yeah. It's almost like when you get started, you're not ready because you're not.
Absolutely. You're not ready. You are not that. It's like as if like, you know, you tell a kid, here's a car, here's how you turn it on, here's the gas, here's the brake. Go ahead. You've got the car. You can drive.
Yeah.
Well, no. They did not learn. They didn't have the experiences that were needed for them to be able to drive.
It's like you have to be fundamentally changed in the process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, is there any final message you want to leave people today?
I want to say that, you know, throughout this journey, there are times where I think you asked me a question last time that, you know, after watching it, I realized that I really didn't answer your question, which this time I took some time to make sure I got the question right before I answer it. One of the things is like whenever I talk, there's all kinds of thought processes that goes behind because of all the different things I'm dealing with simultaneously. So that's the reason why I lose the train of my thoughts. But one of the questions you asked last time, which was, what were the sacrifices you've made what were the things that you had to turn a blind eye on that, throughout this journey, I would say the biggest sacrifice I'd say is that time away from certain valuable people in my life, whether it be my kids, my parents, my husband. It's important to, like, those are the times where I know I'm not going to get back, right? And for the longest time I had guilt, as I think a lot of entrepreneurs, I think women entrepreneurs more than men, mother entrepreneurs more than anybody feels. And I've had women reach out to me, mothers reach out to me and say, how do you do it, Anna? You have like 3 kids. When you started your journey, like really seriously, your kids were under 10 years old. How did you do it? And how are you still married? I say to them one thing, and that is, it's quality over quantity. Many times I see parents where they are there with their kids at, whether it be like a soccer game or in particular soccer games, right? And I would see the parents are there physically, but mentally they're not there. They're either on their phones, they're just like, kind of like, I gotta be here to show that I'm a good parent. You know what I mean? And I realized that, that's where I'm gonna be different. When I'm there with my kids, my phone focus now, we can change it to like do not disturb. And it goes directly to voicemail. That is my family time. And I'm there 100%. I am trying to have that quality. I might not have the quantity, but I'm having that quality. And so that is how I was able to offset that. And so you just learn to do it differently, and whatever you feel okay with it. There's no right way. Yeah.
So be prepared to make some sacrifices.
Absolutely. And that's okay, I don't think, like, a lot of the times we're worried about, who's going to watch us? What are they going to think about us? And so on and so forth. And, I've had those as well. I've had those thoughts in my mind that, oh my gosh, watch what they would say and na. But like at this point, it's like, they're gonna, people are so busy in their own lives that the judging part everybody's thinking what other people are thinking. What is it that other people might be thinking about me? Like, really, we're all so busy with our lives. Just enjoy life. This is a journey, very short journey. Enjoy it and make it count. That's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So that was an inspiring conversation. I hope a lot of people resonated with it. I know I did, of course. And tune back in, people.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Next week, we're going to maybe make it a little bit more fun. I think that was fun about the whole experience with the spaghetti and the piece of, make sure you join in next week, same time, same channel. This is live, so, there's no cuts to it. You get the raw, the whole thing. All right? Hope you guys enjoyed it.